because if I make more money, then again, I get to change other people's lives. Or if I can partner with somebody that the company does better, again, I get to change people's lives. Like, I am in the business of changing other people's lives. I'm not in the business of hanging out and just bullshitting because I want to feel good about myself. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso, and my experience and expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and 9 figures. And I'm not telling you you should do this. I'm simply telling you how I did this, and I hope that helps you. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and be a better leader at home and at work. And I'd love to connect with you guys. You can always check me out at dralexspinoso.com or Instagram at Dr. Alex Spinoso. Thanks for listening. And as always, we have Amanda May. And I love what you're wearing today.
Thank
Young
you.
Padawan.
It's getting cooler outside finally.
So you wore your Jedi outfit?
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I like it. You didn't get the young Padawan. You're not a Star Wars fan, are you?
I've watched it. I have a hard time following along with like the actual storylines, but I watch it for pure entertainment. And then I forget everything I saw until the next one comes out. And then I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that character, but I don't really remember who they are or what they did in the previous one. I just watch it like it's a brand new movie.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Star Wars fan for sure. But yeah, you definitely look like a Jedi today.
Good. Well, that's part of the theme, right? You're going to be everyone's Jedi. I have to show up.
I'll try to be.
Batman and Robin, you got to show up like in character.
Dressed up in character. Love it.
Well, today we're going to do something fun and a little bit different. We're going to have a Q&A. So I think this is going to be super beneficial for the people that are listening, the few people that we have actually listening to the podcast.
12 of them. 13 now, maybe.
And we'll both answer the questions. And yeah, I think that'll be really cool. You're super well known for telling people at conferences that, and in consults, that successful entrepreneurs have this like spider web effect, and that cross sells all their products and services. We actually have a full podcast on just that. So if you want to hear more about the in-depths of the spider web effect, check out our other podcast. I believe it's titled The Spider Web Effect. Super easy to find. But in other words, we're going to figure out how you can take something that you sell or that you do in your life and connect it to something else that you can offer to people. So we're going to talk about things in our own life and how those have affected who we are in business, even though it might not actually be directly connected to business.
Let's do it.
One of those examples in our business is the GLP-1s and the Sculpt Neo, and just really working together to make sure you give somebody a full approach to what they're looking for with their weight loss. And so when you lose weight, you want to tone up the muscles. So that's a natural cross sell or spider web that happens. And if you want to be successful, you got to learn how to do this. And so today we're going to talk about random hacks. And the first, some of those that I can think of is like eating a handful of blueberries improves the memory, or like chewing gum. I always heard that in school, but I think there's actually some scientific evidence to it. And then striking a superhero pose, which you are a huge fan of Superman. And so you have the Superman pose for sure. So striking that pose and making sure that it brings you that confidence. And there's the actual studies that prove that that is true. So let's talk about some of those hacks and things that we've picked up from people along the way. And so we could maybe go back and forth and ask the questions, and then we'll both answer. Okay.
Let's do it.
I'll ask the first one.
Okay.
I'll go first. I know you wanted me to anyway. Time is always a critical factor when it comes to success. So sometimes it feels like there's just not enough time. So what are some of the little things that you have found that have really opened up extra time and have helped you be more productive?
Throughout med school and residency, I think that helped a lot with my timing. So I eat extremely fast, and there's a ton of studies that show that it's not good for you at all. But food and eating is definitely one of the things where I try and save as much time as possible. I things that are quick, easy meals, things that can be just thrown in the microwave or the small little countertop oven that you have, set it and forget it, come back and grab it. That's the biggest thing I think with time. And when I was in residency in med school, literally I would put like snacks and stuff in my pockets that could be eaten. And I don't recommend this, but I used to carry around like a bag of chicken, literally like a bag of like chopped up grilled chicken and just eat chicken out of a bag, that's when I was prepping for bodybuilding and stuff like that, which is just a nightmare. I definitely don't recommend anyone doing that. But I think one of the other tricks of the trade, I guess, is a lot of people like to have their morning routine where they do like 75 different things and they, drink 8 ounces of water with lemon juice and they face east and they soak up the sun with their buttholes and there's just fucking so many different morning routines, and they live with gratitude and stuff like that. I'm sure you do some of this, maybe not the butthole thing, but um like I wake up, I roll out of bed, and I immediately start working on my phone while I'm walking towards, the kitchen. And so I cook breakfast while I'm answering my emails. Then I go straight into the office and start working in the morning. And all that morning stuff, I don't do any of it. Now, some people, I start my day off in crisis mode that way, but it helps me get stuff done faster.
Mm,
So I already wake up and I'm hitting the ground running. I'm doing the work that I have to do or that I got to make sure I get done. And I can get most of that done within an hour or two. A lot of the
mm,
stuff that I needed to that day or that I need to emails that I need to send out or follow up on or how to plan the rest of the day. I do that all in the morning as soon as I wake up. And then I will maybe go to the gym later in the morning or early afternoon if I do get to the gym. If I got meetings all day long, then I just go straight into meetings all day long. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people like, well, I don't have the time to do it. Well, okay, just go straight into working and you will probably find the time to do it. Um I think one of the other critical factors of success that I've learned is definitely working out. When I do work out,
mm,
it does make me a lot more efficient. It does give my mind a lot more clarity, as well as on top of that, making sure that my hormones are balanced and I'm actually taking my testosterone shots every week because usually when I don't, I'm just sluggish. And I started to think, oh, what the hell's wrong with me? I am freaking exhausted. But that's one thing I really want to make sure that as you get older, you're doing is getting your hormones checked, balancing your hormones, drinking plenty of water, all that bullshit that we know that none of us really do unless we're yelled at for it or really have it dialed in. And that's about it. Like there's all those tricks out there where people say, well, I break my day up into 3 days. So I do a whole day's work in the first 6 hours, and then a second day's work in the next 6 hours. So I get 2 days every day. It's like,
mm.
okay, that doesn't actually work. That's not how time or life works. But no, what do you do? Because I mean, I feel like I just do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I want to say, based off what you're talking about, jumping right in and getting those most important things done and off your schedule immediately, I can see how that would free up a lot of attention for the rest of the day. Because the things that are the most important, you're just handling. And it's like those things aren't lingering. Because it really coincides with one of the things that I do, which is use my productivity planner. And I really love that outline. It's by a company called Intelligent Change. I've been using it for years, but you map out your whole week. Like, what are the five most important things to get done? And then you take one of those things and put it as the first thing for every day.
Mhm.
So it's like, not what are the things you like to do, but what are the things that have to get done, like the most important factors. Cause I like to do design stuff and the stuff that makes things look beautiful and, graphics and things like that. So, of course, I want to do that first because I'm most attracted to doing that. But there might be paperwork that needs to get filled out or orders that need to get put through or response emails and that need to get sent. So, those things need to get done first. And when I get those done first, I actually have more time to really enjoy the process of the design work. I can get a little bit lost in it versus doing the design work first. But inside, I'm like, I know I've got these other things that I'm supposed to handle and I haven't handled. And so it starts to feel like a lot of pressure. So I can see why that works. And it's pretty similar. what I have found by using the productivity planner, because you only work on something for 30 minutes. Well, it may take you longer than 30 minutes, but you do a 30-minute block. So I'll like shut everything off and only focus on that one thing for 30 minutes. And it's amazing when you really have focused attention on one thing, like how much of that you can actually get done and how productive in the process you can be. Now, if I have something like some of this design stuff I've put together for Genesis, it might take I know it's going to take a whole week, but it'll be the first thing I work on for the first couple hours all week long, and then it's done. And so things don't linger. That's kind of how I get things done faster. But like to your point, when I get the most important thing done, the rest of my day feels like I have more time. I feel like it does free up time because my mind isn't consumed by what I haven't done, but I feel accomplished because I've gotten the most important thing done. And then when I take an hour out to do a run or lift weights in the afternoon, I have a home gym, so it makes it super easy to jump into a workout and get back to work. But I feel fully present with my workout. I'm not working out going like, oh, I have all these other things I need to complete.
Yeah.
So I think managing time well. I like having a structure. The productivity planner is good too because you set that timer for 30 minutes. There's a little bit of this like stress that comes with it. Like, I got to beat the timer. How much can I get done in 30 minutes?
Right.
Like, so it's like for me anyway, I'm a little competitive. So I'm like competing with myself. How much can I accomplish in this 30-minute segment? And I've always found I can actually get a lot done with that type of focused attention.
No, I think that's really important what you said because people don't understand that you cannot multitask. It's scientifically proven you cannot multitask. You change from one task to another, but you cannot do two things at the same time, quote unquote. So you cannot simultaneously do two things. Period. You
Mhm.
just can't. Now there's like drummers that can do it, and there's the people that can do art with both their right and their left hands at the same time. But those are like 1 in 1 billion people. Otherwise, if you're doing a task and you're trying to do another task at the same time, you're not multitasking. You're doing one task and then you're switching your attention and doing the other task. And there are studies that show that when you do that, both tasks do take longer.
Mhm.
So what you're doing is absolutely intelligent where you focus on one task, get one task done or do as much as you possibly can in a certain time frame and then move on to the next task.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're talking about creative art, so I feel like that's a different part of the brain anyway than tasks.
Oh, that's
Like
everything. No, yeah, yeah,
well, like
creative art.
creative
Oh, yeah.
arts,
Those
like if
people who can
you're
do two things at
2
the
things
same
at
time.
one time,
Yeah.
that's like a different type of multitasking. That's, yeah, that's a different layer than and the other thing too is like it really takes a lot of time when you shift your attention to one thing to actually shift it back and get back in the flow of doing the other thing again. So, I mean, that's probably why it takes so much longer to do both
Yeah.
because you've lost momentum at that point.
Yep.
So you buy back a lot of time by just being really focused on what you're doing and having, let's say, time blocking or getting the most important things done. I both hear both of us saying that. Get the most important thing done. Put out the fires first, and then it kind of just feels like the rest of your day frees up a little bit, even though you're still working.
Do you use a paper calendar with that?
I don't. I have an
Or
electronic calendar.
mhm.
I use Motion for my calendar because
Hmm.
it's got an AI feature. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's pretty cool. So if you have a deadline that you want to reach for a specific task, you can outline the task and turn on an AI feature where it will automatically put those pieces and parts on your schedule where your schedule's open.
Hmm.
And then if let's say you move something around or something else gets scheduled, it rearranges all of that stuff on different days. So it kind of helps you fill in the blanks so you
Yeah.
don't really have downtime, but it's like, all right, this task as a part of the bigger project is going to take 30 minutes because you set all of that up when you put these tasks in.
Yeah.
So it'll find where you have a 30-minute break and then it will put that thing first.
Oh, interesting.
So it helps you kind of like see where you can optimize your time a little bit more. So I like
Mhm.
Motion for that. So I use m- that as my electronic calendar, but I have my paper outline as
Mm,
far as like outlining all of the tasks that I will sometimes then transfer to my electronic calendar, but I usually set them up a little bit different. My paper one is more granular, and then my electronic one is a block of time.
mm.
So it'll be like Genesis is my first block of the day. So from 10 to 12, I'm only working on things for Genesis. So it doesn't really say like do
Exactly
this
what?
design thing or yeah, it doesn't. It's just kind of like more time blocking on the electronic calendar.
Okay. Yeah. See, I
Kind of do
use I
both.
use the digital calendar. I use iCal, Google Calendar or whatever. Actually, not iCal. I used to use iCal, but I transferred to Google Calendar because it can integrate with other people's calendars a lot better and all my emails a lot better. So I use that. But then what you're talking about the what was it called the in was it amazing list, a power list? What was your thing called?
The productivity planner?
Productivity planner, sorry. It's the same with, Andy Frisella, he calls it the power list, the top
Mm.
5 things that you have to do for your business, and he has it daily, but I just use that type of thing, either the power list or the productivity planner, my list of things to do, I just use my phone. I use, like, the notes app on my phone, so I have it on my computer and on my phone, and it talks to each other so that when I pull up the calendar, I can see, "Oh, what are the things that I have to do to get done?" and, etcetera, so I could plug those things in. I don't use AI yet for that, but that's interesting. Motion, you said that
It's
was?
called Motion. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'll have
It's
to
a
check that out.
pretty cool feature.
So along with, scheduling and we're two very, I guess, type A personalities where everything has to be scheduled, everything's got to be set and it's time blocks. We have our lists and everything like that. And one of the things as I get older is I realize is that I just hate wasting time. Like just don't waste my fucking time. I don't want to talk to you if you're going to waste my time. And it really is big when it comes to scheduling appointments with me or calls with me. When people say, "Hey, I need to schedule an appointment or I need to schedule a call," I always am like, first thing about what? Like, oh, I just want to talk. No, like, I don't want to just talk. You need to have an agenda, and that agenda needs to fit a need or an end or a question that you need answered, or else I'm not going to schedule my appointment with you. I'm not going to sit and bullshit with you all day long. The only person I do that with are my business partners at the very top level of my businesses because we're just talking about ideas and
Mhm.
playing things back and forth. Otherwise, if you need to meet with me, you need to have an agenda because I don't like wasted time. So when it comes to conversations, are there things that you found with Sean that you're just like, these are just things that we're totally different about. I'm not gonna die on this hill. I'm just like, fuck it. I don't want to argue with you about it. It's just this is how it's gonna be. This is what we do.
Yeah, well, I'm very much like you. Like
Okay.
especially now that I've had the baby and time is even more precious.
Right.
I don't like small talk. I am
Mm-hmm.
not a fan of like, "Oh, how's the weather?"
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, we all know how the weather
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Look outside,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm not into that. Um so I would say one of the biggest changes that I've experienced in recent years and have had to let go of is my desire for a perfect looking home.
Mm.
I like everything to have order.
Mm.
I want to walk into my house and have it look like a magazine. I like design, I like decor. As you know, like from some of the things I do with Genesis, like I that's how I want my house to look.
Yeah.
And bringing in, when we moved in together, a man.
Yeah. Touche.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so bringing a man into the house is a whole different ball game because the attention to detail is just not the same. So going from, I mean, my son will do anything that I tell him that I want done because that's the mother son role, right? So, bringing in somebody else that has kind of their own way of moving about things. So, for example, he has a lot of vitamins. Sean has a lot of vitamins. And I noticed little by little they were ending up on the kitchen table. And there was more of them and more of them and more of them. And I'm like, why? But my kitchen table is like decorated for the holiday. Like it can't. It's not supposed to look
Vitamins are not
like that.
vitamins are not holiday things.
No, and so, I'm like, "Oh, are is that where you keep your vitamins?"
So
Like,
passive aggressive.
nicely finding out, like,
Oh, shit.
is this what I
Is this
have
your new
to
place now?
look forward to? And so, I was like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna buy a basket that works,
Yeah.
like, that kind of matches everything,"
Yeah.
and then one day when he wasn't around, I just, like, put all of his vitamins in the basket, and I was like, "Oh my god, look, I got you a basket. Isn't that
Yeah.
great?" Um, and so that was the start of it. But
Mhm.
fast forward years, add a baby into the mix, and I'm just like, I can pull my hair out talking about why this thing needs done or that thing needs done, and I can't do it and I need help. And yeah, so now I'm just like, it is what it is, and I'll hire a cleaning company and just I'm not gonna keep going down the road of like, I want the house to look perfect. Maybe later in life I'll get back
Yeah.
to that,
Yeah.
but it's not right now.
No, I'm 100% with you. With triplets and the newborn now, it's like fuck it. She just piles up in different rooms. Like I got boxes over there and that corner. I don't even know what half those boxes are. I'm just like fuck it, throw it over there. Let the cardboard pile up in the fucking garage.
Mhm.
Like there's so many kid toys around the house. So many fucking kid toys. It's just like, whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick it up because in 3 hours they're gonna be all in the same fucking spot. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think well, humans in general are entropic, meaning that they go towards just chaos and disaster. It's why people love reality TV shows where everybody's lives just fucking sucks, and they're screaming and yelling all the time. People are naturally chaotic. They love the chaos. So it's easy for them, but at the same time, it is very unnerving. Like that chaos and that shit being everywhere and crap like that. It does make your surroundings not as calm for
Mhm.
sure. Like when you got a super clean house and everything's neat where it needs to be, it's much calmer, it's much cleaner, neater.
Mhm.
You could feel it and everything. But I get it. That's one of those things where the just arguments just doesn't fucking matter. I really don't give a shit anymore. Like
Mhm.
whatever. Like
Mhm.
we don't have a lot of visitors either. I mean, you're one of like three people that come to the house, and my sister being one of the other two. So it's like, nobody's gonna see it anyways. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and since our houses look the same with little kids running around, it's
Yeah.
fine, we
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you walk into somebody else's house with kids, you're like, "Oh, this is like home. I don't really care."
Yeah.
Nobody fucking notices. Nobody's like, "Oh,
Uh-uh.
this is terribly dirty with all your toys on the floor." No,
Mm-mm.
I'm usually just playing with somebody else's kids' toys when I go over to somebody else's
Yeah,
house. "Oh, this is
totally.
cool. I want this. I need to buy this." Because essentially that's what we do is
Uh,
buy toys for ourselves.
so what
Um
about for you and Steph? Is there something that you just are like, I'm not even gonna go down this road anymore, it doesn't matter."
Man, I'm trying to think. The toys thing and like picking up the house was a big thing. We have a mother's helper. She's not really a nanny because my wife takes care of the kids all day long. But a mother's helper that comes and sometimes help with the kids and it does a lot of like the dishes and the laundry and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I had to teach her, and I think I had to teach. I still have to. My parents are not like this, where it's like paying somebody else to do the dirty work, paying somebody
Mhm,
else to do the lawn, paying somebody else to clean the house, paying somebody else to do the laundry and cook food and all that. They're from the world where yes, everything you do for yourself and we're the I get it. I get where that comes from. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, we can learn how to do all that stuff and we can figure out how to do all that stuff and grow up doing a lot of that stuff with the kids. But there's no reason whatsoever, absolutely zero reason why we should as I get older or as I have the money to pay somebody else to do it why I should be doing that. Like I pay our lawn guy $40 a week and he comes every week and cuts all the grass and everything like that. And so it's $160 a month. He comes every week. That's,
mhm,
a good it takes him a good because there's 2 or 3 of them. It only takes them probably 30 minutes because there's 2 or 3. It would take me an hour to an hour and a half, and again, every week, that's six hours a week of work that I could be doing. And again, it's I could afford more than $40 an hour to pay somebody else to do it. And same thing with doing the dishes. Doing the dishes is does not help make money. I'm sorry. Like you can argue however you want to, but doing the dishes does not bring you any income whatsoever.
Mhm,
Zero.
mhm.
Same with folding your laundry and doing your laundry. I mean, obviously, if you have meetings and you're going in dirty ass clothes, yeah, it might make money, but it doesn't really truly make you any money to do your laundry or do the dishes or any of that, the home shit. It really doesn't at all. People are like, well, how you do one thing is how you do everything. No, that's bullshit. Like, sorry, that's so full of shit. Nah, like I think you sent me that one time,
Well, yeah,
but
I
I
mean,
didn't
I
message
can
you about
kind of
it. But I
I
get
feel
what you're
like you
saying.
can kind of like that's kind of a good thing. So, it's like, okay, how I do one thing is how I do all things.
It's a
So,
good quote.
I'm utilizing my time wisely. I mean, that's really what you're doing. You're hiring someone. We hire people all the time. We hire
Oh
people
yeah,
to cut our hair. We hire people. I mean, every time you buy something, you're hiring somebody who made it.
right.
You're hiring the store to carry
Yeah.
it so you can purchase it. So, I mean, I can see that as a good thing. If you're hiring out things that make your life better and simplify your process and free you up attention, like that's actually, yeah, you do that in business too. Like you're hiring people that are going to be effective in your company
Yeah.
and you're not going to go in and do every single task within your business. You're not going to have a business. You're not going to scale it. You're not going to be able to spend time on the things that are really important. And yeah, so that's the same. It's just in the home environment.
Yeah. I think I'm more talking about those people that are like, "Oh, well, you gotta have your house perfectly clean all the time because that's what your life is like, or that's the kind of life you need, or your car needs to be perfectly clean all the time because that's what your life is like." And it's funny,
uh,
actually, I had a pastor. He's a good buddy, great mentor, but he was just like, if any of my son-in-laws show up or daughter-in-laws show up with like a dirty car to church, like I pull them aside and I talk to them about like, "Hey, you shouldn't have that because you represent," and I'm just like, "Shut the fuck up." Literally, like, don't come if people try and do that to me, I would just be like, "Shut the fuck up." Literally. You have no
yeah.
fucking clue.
And it
Like,
depends on the life you live.
who cares if I got a dirty fucking car? Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, really. Like,
I mean, and
so
it's like, well, in taking that back to a clean house, which could mean also a clean car, because I did always have a clean car. It's like, yeah, my I had time in my life where I was building business and my son was grown and I was single. What else was I doing with my time? Like, yeah, I got in a full day of work, but I also had a lot of extra time to do things like keep the house clean. And when it's just me at the house stays clean or clean my car. I mean, I had time to do that stuff and that just looks different at this phase in my life. So to say like you always have to have a clean car, your house always has to be clean, I think it really depends on what is happening in the person's life um as to whether or not those things are actually going to happen.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I 100% agree with that. No.
So, what do you think is something special about you, like a quality that you have or a skill you have that's not directly linked to business itself, but has helped you in business, in your life, and also in business? Like, what would you suggest other people do to cultivate a similar skill or talent or
I think a sense of urgency.
mm,
Um, I have seen more people fail and fall behind or just not get shit done or not get paid for things because they don't have a sense of urgency. It's insane. People I deal with, they just like, yeah, 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 I'll get it done. No, I'll get it done. And it might take them 15 minutes, an hour to do something that I ask them to do or that they need to do for our business, and they just don't they just fucking take forever to get it done.
mm.
And people are like, "Oh, we're so busy or I have this or I have that." Bullshit. Like, you're full of shit. I run 8 different companies. Like I usually get 99% of the shit that I need to do done within 24 if not 48 hours, but a lot of the times a lot of the times there are those other jobs that are going to take days or weeks or months, like rolling out a new service or trying new training or recording new videos, and that I get. But little things take forever, and people are like, "Oh, I have so much on my plate." No, like, you really fucking don't. You're just fucking lazy.
Mm.
And a lot of times I'll ask like, "Oh, hey, what's your favorite TV show?" And if they tell you like, "Okay, cool. Stop fucking watching TV." Yeah, and
Yeah.
get your job done. Like,
Yeah.
it's again, they're vendors or they're people that I deal with, so it's not like I own their businesses, and in the end, it's you can see why they're not as successful when they get into the business world is because they
Mhm.
don't have that urgency. Like, you don't have a lot of time. Sorry. Like, life is not they say life is short and death is just really long. Like, dude, we're here for a blink of an eye. I could
Mhm.
feel myself getting older. Like I can hear my bones like
Yeah.
going, "Oh God, you're getting older, son." And I look at my kids and they grow up really fast. And
Mhm.
it's not that they grow up really fast. We're moving just as fast as they are when it comes to age. And people don't get that. Like, I
Mhm.
got time, I got time, I got time. The whole KFC, was Colonel Sanders was 64 when he started KFC, and Oprah was 40 before she started the Oprah show and all that stuff. And I get it, yeah, but it's rare. Most of the time, if you're not running as soon as your feet hit the ground every single morning, you are going to get behind everybody
Mhm.
else. You aren't going to be able to keep up. And you're going to have those issues where you're like, "Oh, I just can't catch a break," or I think, okay, grind. You should be literally grinding every single day as much as you possibly and physically can and have that sense of urgency about you. Everything is like, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. We got to get this done all the time. Because if you don't, you are going to fall behind for
Mhm.
sure, and innovating and making sure you're pushing the envelope as fast as you can is how you are gonna win.
Well, I think one of the issues with that statement, like this person was this age or this person was that age, you're missing out on what got them to that point in the first place.
Mhm.
Because they were probably hustling for 20 years and then you knew who they were because something popped. But it's like you can't just la di da di da for 20 years while they were hustling their ass off and then think that all of a sudden one day you're just gonna pop and be successful. Like
Right.
that's not what got them to that point. So yeah, she might have been 40 when she started the show, but she was doing broadcasting and journalism and all these things prior.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, I'm with
Yeah,
you on
overnight
that.
success takes 20 years.
Yeah.
And we've had overnight success, quote unquote, pretty fast, 5 years, but at the same time, it was always based off urgency.
Well, you were also, I mean, you and Brent both were doing things that led into Genesis. So it's not like you
Mhm.
just all of a sudden overnight decided, I'm going to get into medical and I'm going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
launch these things. And 5 years later, here you are. Like you both were doing a lot of things that led up to that point in the first place.
Yeah. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
with you with being the CEO now of multiple companies. Before that, you were running your own companies. Again, you have been building and running companies and building your own stuff since your teenage years. So
Yeah.
it's not like it just freaking happens overnight and you become this boss, this beauty boss babe. Like that's bullshit. You've had a sense of urgency your entire life moving forward and pushing as fast as you can, as far as you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for me, the quality that I have that has helped a lot in business is being willing to look at multiple viewpoints and not think that only my way is the right way.
Mm.
Now, in my relationship, I could do better. No.
Right? Yeah.
But no, for real, like recognizing that everyone's experience is unique and that there's truth in it for that person and that there's a unique lesson in it for that person means that I'm willing to hold different viewpoints as true and not think that my way is the only truth that is available or that is valid. And so I think that's helped a lot in business because I can often see why people make decisions that they make standing from the viewpoint that they're standing in. And that has really helped cultivate more trust and understanding with teams. Um, so that's helped me in life and in business as well.
So a lot of the empathy.
Yeah.
How did you train that?
That was personal development that really courses. One of my very first personal development courses was there was a game that you played and it was like this team against this team. And I was all about the win. Like I wanted to win out no matter what, we were going to win.
Mhm.
And it was like the whole competition was going and it's the energy back and forth and it goes on for a while. And as the game comes to an end, what's revealed is that had there been collaboration, both teams could have won. It could
Mm.
have been a win-win had both teams worked together to create the win-win scenario or looked out for the other team, you could have gotten there. Um, and so that was a real eye opener for me. Like for them, their truth was win. My truth was win. But wait a minute, like we both had different perspectives on how to get there. But had we seen that both of our perspectives were valid, we could have come together, created alignment, and both won in it. So that to me was a starting point in figuring out that there is a level of win-win
Mm.
that takes being willing to see other people's viewpoints and having compassion for their journey. And noticing that my competitiveness was also present in the other players on my team, but also present in the other team. So, the competitive, I got to win this. We were all feeling the same way. And so, what I'm feeling, whether it's sadness, loneliness, despair, happiness, whatever it is, that is also the same feelings and emotions that other people have. So I'm not alone in thinking that, I've had disappointments. Like other people have also had disappointments. And if something doesn't work out the way that you want, well, other people have also been through that same journey, even if it just looks different. So having compassion for that. I know what it feels like to feel sad. I know what it feels like to feel lonely. And so when somebody's going through something, I really have a lot of compassion and empathy for whatever the situation is,
Mhm.
which is helpful.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Well, I guess on that same topic of feelings and talking about really the empathetic part of things and then moving into like I guess daily activities and things that we're going to talk about fill you up or really detract from you or empty your cup. So this is going to be a two-part question. So we'll start with the first part. So like what are some things that you have learned really detract from you really succeeding in your day to day? So little by little they pull away from you, they lower your morale, they lower your energy and you know that hey, I can't do that or else I'm going to be fucking useless the next day. Or I can't do that because this is not gonna help me. What are some things that you've learned?
One of the first things that comes to mind is talking on the phone first thing in the morning to people. It's like I would rather save like calls for afternoon and get my mind clear
Mhm.
first. So work on tasks or whatever. But like my mom, like God love my mother.
Mhm.
She likes to talk at like 5 in the morning because
Oh god.
they get up like super early. She's
Yeah.
up at like 4. So she's had her coffee. And by the time 5 o'clock hits, she's like, what are you doing? You know? And so for years, I would get up and either talk to her, talk to my sister, call a friend or whatever. And it's like, it just
That sounds like torture.
yeah, it doesn't work at this phase in my life. Before it was fine and I'd get all ramped up about the day or whatever, but it's like kind of that small talk, that
Yeah.
I've grown to not be as much of a fan of. Not doing that with the first part of my day because my mind is so clear and my spirit is so open that if I'm using the time for something that's, let's say, mindless, I'm wasting the best part of my day.
Mhm.
And so, not that it's a waste to talk to people who you care about, but just doing it at a different time. So I do that later in the day now. If I'm going to get on the phone, which is very rare, maybe once a week,
Yeah.
I'll make one phone call like, my mom gets this week, my sister gets next week. Like, I'm not talking to everybody every day because I'm also going to just talk to you about the same things I talked to you about last week. What's new in life? I'm doing all the same shit I was doing a week ago
Yeah.
and a month ago. And
Mhm.
so, and then the stuff with the baby I send through text.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, how many times do you want me to describe that she walked across a playpen and I cheered for her when she pooped and,
Yeah.
like there's only so much of that I need to explain over and over as well.
Yeah, that's funny.
What
That's funny.
about what about for you?
Let's see. For me, it's listening to other people talk about their lives. That sounds really rough, but like I truly I don't care. Like
Mhm.
when it's my employees or my staff, yes, like I will listen to you because it's usually you're coming to me with a problem that you need to solve or anything like that. But random people or friends that are not in my business or colleagues or I it sounds bad, but I don't care. Like, I really don't care about, like, the difficulties you're having in your life or anything like that because it
Mhm.
drains me. Like, everybody's got problems, and I don't go around telling everybody my problems at home and because I think that just drains me talking about it. So, I
Mm.
I think it would like, I wouldn't want to drain others talking about that same shit. So, you know, Steph and she's amazing. She loves to go out and, hang out, go to dinner with people and talk with people and be very social and stuff. And so she does and has gone to like girls' nights and stuff like that, which is good. So she has friends like I don't do that.
Mm.
I'm a part of a couple car clubs and they have lunches and dinners together and stuff like that. And I just don't want to fucking go. It sounds like fucking torture because a lot of it is that small talk, and even if
Yeah.
it isn't small talk, I just don't wanna fucking go. Like, I don't wanna spend time with you. Like, I got shit to do. Again, that's the urgency thing.
Yeah.
I have so much stuff that I gotta do that I want to do, that I like to do. I like to work just 24/7. I do. I like it. It's a sick fucking joke, but it's what I like to do. I consistently trying to, build a business or consistently throwing myself in the fire and stuff like that. That's what I like to do with my time. I just don't wanna spend it with other people.
Mhm.
So I try and avoid parties as much as possible. I try and avoid going out as much as possible. And it sucks because Steph loves to do those things. So we go to things and I'm there like 15 minutes. I'm like, this is fucking awful. Why are we here? Sort of thing. Every single time. Fucking hate it.
You're like a
Um,
joy to go with.
I'm a joy.
That's why
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm going with my
Yeah,
girlfriends."
yeah, that's why. Because I fucking hate it, and I make it miserable, and it's terrible,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry, but I fucking hate people, and I hate crowds, and I don't wanna listen to your bullshit. I
Yeah.
really don't. Like, if you're a part of my companies and we're doing some life together, cool. If we're not doing life together and we're just randomly, like, hanging out with each other, I just don't fucking like it.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, do life together, go on vacations together, they got their group of friends that they go on vacation with, that's an older thing where you don't have kids anymore. Your kids are older.
Mhm.
So you have a bunch of so you go on vacation with your friends and you bring the kids along and they all like interact and play with you. That sounds like fucking torture. If I wake up one day and it's just a series of groundhog days going on vacation with friends, I know I'm in fucking hell. I'll know I'm in hell because it's just the worst. Like that sounds awful. When I want to
Mhm.
go on vacation, I'm an introvert. Leave me the fuck alone. Like
Mhm.
don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone in silence for like 2 weeks. Best fucking vacation ever. Like nobody talks to me for 2 weeks.
So that is interesting because that brings us into the second part of the question,
Yeah,
which is what fills you up, what feels the
yeah.
best.
Absolute fucking silence. Just
So
shut up.
I'm the exact same way.
Absolute silence.
If I have time to myself in a closet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm I feel so invigorated. I'm like, this is the best. Like
yeah,
I want to go to Bali and do a meditation retreat, like or
yeah.
a silence week or
Hmm.
something like that. Yeah.
Silent retreat.
Yeah.
That was one thing actually we did in my high school was a Jesuit all boys high school, and they went on something called Kairos, and Kairos was like it's a word that means going on a journey or transformation. But um, and you probably know a lot about this in the religious world. Yeah, and sorry, I'm mentioning our producer, recorder, Mason over there. But it was really important that they had you go out in the woods. We were in the redwoods, and this was in California. And for I think it was only 3 or 4 hours, just be completely silent,
Mm.
don't say any words, just observe the world around you and things like that. And that, as I got older, was a very, very excellent, I would say, exercise to do. And I think more people should do that,
Mhm.
where they just shut the fuck up, stop talking. Nobody wants to hear you talk.
So then we end the podcast here.
Yeah, that's it. It's done. We're
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 done
fucking done.
talking.
We're done talking. But no, like, where you have just time for yourself, time to do what you want, listening to others and whatever. And I mean,
Mhm.
listening to a podcast is time for yourself. You're not doing anything else. If you're driving, obviously, it works, but a lot of times you can't truly pay a whole lot of attention when you're driving, worry about crashing and shit like that. But time to yourself, 100% is, and time to myself, or whether it's, even if it's just like straightening up my office, or like working on the cars or something like that, that time to myself
Mhm.
is what fills me up, because you don't really get it that often anymore.
One of the things that I love to do, and I only get a chance to do it really once a week, maybe once every other week, is journal. Like I'll wake up
Oh,
in the
okay.
morning and just journal. And that is just like really interesting how fast my spirit will bring things up, like insights or new ideas or beliefs. Like it's so clearing. And I feel like so alive when I get done. And a lot of times that's when people will come into my space. Like I'll have, immense gratitude for people's journeys, or I'll feel compassion. Like, a lot of times when you're getting those cheerleader rah ha ha messages, it's
Mm-hmm.
because I've been journaling.
Mm. There you go.
Like, hey, I see you, I feel you, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
I'm, here to support you
Got
100% of
it.
the way.
Okay.
That so you can probably just respond next time like, "Oh, have you been
Yeah,
journaling,
yeah.
haven't you?"
Good,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you've been
So
journaling.
yeah, so that's where a lot of that comes up, but it's that time alone that actually to me feels like connects me more to people, what I'm doing, my why, and things like that. And so um journaling is good. Time alone is good, but I feel like when you can get out
Hmm.
on paper what's going on the inside, there's just even more clarity around that silence or that time alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing that happens to me. Like that time alone, that clarity and everything, that definitely fills me up. And you're absolutely right, where I feel like I am more connected to other people when I do that, because it's a lot of introspection. You can think
Mhm.
about, okay, like, how have I been acting? How have I been leading, et cetera? And how can I be better? Those are a lot of big questions that are asked when you're just sitting alone doing those things, trying to problem solve. And so you've been on a ton of stages, and this last weekend you were at an entrepreneurial event, correct?
Yeah.
So you've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, spoken to them a lot. What do you find that a lot of them have in common that might be, surprising, or, maybe not directly related to business, but it kind of has helped them out? It'd be interesting.
I think being open to learn from other people and the mentorship process.
Mm.
I feel like the entrepreneurs that I'm around, getting resituated here. I feel like the entrepreneurs I'm around really have a lot going on. It's not like it's not like a multitasking, but it is like a multitasking in business where they're, really it's like they've got their main business and then they've got masterminds and they've got training programs and it's like tapping into business as a whole and not just like dabbling in it, but
Mhm.
it's a lifestyle. And I feel like mentorship is a big part of that. People that are successful that I'm around really value the quality of other relationships around them in business. So that one is more directly related to business, less just life. But yeah, but I think they really value the relationship capital
Mm.
that comes with it. Like you
Yeah.
spend time with people that you do life with people you do business with. Like those are your friends.
Right.
And that's what I notice with myself, some of my friends that are in business, the other business people I'm around. It's like they're doing life with people, but it's directly related to business, like, and not just for fun. They're
Yeah.
not just going to hang out. Now, I will say EOS is a big part of it.
Hmm.
A lot of the people that I'm surrounded by either have implemented EOS or are implementing EOS. And as a part of that, there are these getaways where you're taking your teams to do experiential things that are not directly business related, but help build culture and teams. And that's happening across the board. So, like this whole weekend, the mastermind weekend, it was Deal Maker Wealth Society was
Hmm.
the mastermind. This particular group is called your 9-figure board. So it's all people that have scaled, built, or are working on 9-figure businesses.
Mm.
So big thinkers, but it's like you have your whole day of meetings and then everyone goes out line dancing,
Okay.
And so, um, this fun stuff like that where you're
Hmm.
you're you're getting to experience business and life together. And
Yeah.
that's where I see a lot of overlap with the entrepreneurs that I'm around.
That's what I've seen a lot of highly successful business owners do is they're doing life with the people that are in their business or that they are business partners with. A lot of times it's rare that they're doing a lot of life or a lot of traveling or anything like that with other business owners who are not directly related to them. Like they might
Mhm.
again be a part of a mastermind or something that they meet with, but they're not really like doing life with those people on a day to day, week to week, month to month basis. And so that's essentially why I never understood like the group getaways with your friends and stuff like that. Is because you're right. All my friends are directly related to business right now,
Mhm.
and maybe I'll have friends directly related to my kids as they get older and have school. But I think it depends on again like what my kids' friends' parents do. Like if they don't own a business, if they just go and work for somebody, or if they have a job that's unrelated to any of the businesses that I own or anything, it's almost transactional at that
Mhm.
point to a degree. It's like, I want to improve my life. I want to improve my businesses. So if you're not in the field that I'm in and we can't mutually benefit each other in some way, then I don't really have time to hang out with you because I need to save that time up for people that I can help and that can help me. And it sounds really superficial, but I'm sorry, that's just how it is nowadays. Like
Mhm.
I have time for who I have time for, and most of that time is made or created so that I can make more money. Period. It's really what it is. Because if I make more money, then again, I get to change other people's lives. Or if I can partner with somebody that the company does better, again, I get to change people's lives. Like I am in the business of changing other people's lives. I'm not in the business of hanging out and just bullshitting because I want to feel good about myself.
When we're talking about surrounding yourself with people and the type of mindset when it comes to really having business owners that are kind of doing life together. Sometimes there's, a person here or there, like an influencer or someone that's like a high achiever that stands out and has been like really impactful from s- a level of business, if you will, like some lesson that you've learned from someone, whether it's a public figure or an influencer or a high achiever. Like, what do you feel like there's this person that you've been able to pull a lot of lessons from that you use in your life? Is there a person like that?
Oh man, I wouldn't say there's a single person like that that I follow or that people can follow or anything like that. I think most of the non-business related achievements or public figures have been people that have underdog stories really, or fictional characters. Any of the underdog stories or fictional characters are things that I think inspire me in that non-business related form. That's why I have and he's nonfiction but Secretariat, a photo of him up on the wall with his jockey. Ron Turco. And again, is like the underdog, the horse that wasn't supposed to race or whatever. Things like that. Those are the stories, or those are the things that it's like, when you dig down and when you dig deep, like that's what you got to do day in, day out, over and over and over. And you can't just wait for this great influencer or this great person to talk. And, I think all the influencers of today, even myself, we're just regurgitating shit that we learned from other people. There's nothing really new. I'm sorry. You go back 50, 60 years and read all the old books
Mhm.
in entrepreneurship, they're the same shit that the Tony Robbins and, the Ed Milet's of the world, and all they're all saying the same shit that everybody said 50 years ago, who said the same shit 50 years before that and 50 years before that. I mean, obviously technology and things have developed and evolved, and there's different applications of those things, but it's all the same. It's all the same concepts and everything like that. So if you read it and you actually apply it, it's no different than it was 50 years ago, other than the technology surrounding you. So the non tangible assets of the grit and the underdog stories are really what has taught me the most lessons, where nobody gets out alive. Number one. Number two, like, nobody has this easy. Number three, you're going to, if you build a big business big enough, you're gonna get sued. You're gonna have people who stab you in the back. You're gonna have people leave you. It's just part of the business and part of why it's so difficult.
Mm.
Because you have to go through all those things. And it just is required. You can't speak to a single multi-million dollar business owner, single billionaire who has said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's totally like smooth sailing," or it's been great this whole time." Most people will say it sucks, and it sucks a lot, and as your business gets bigger, being the leader of business, you have to realize that, like, you don't get any praise, number one, and number two, like, everybody brings their shitty problems to you. I mean, you are a funnel for the most shitty problems in the business, because that's what you have to do. Because a lot of times they have problems that they can't fix, and those problems need to be elevated. And guess who's at the top? You. And you have to figure out how to fix it. So you are a top of the, tip of the spear, top of the pyramid, like, shitty idea person. That's it. That's
Mhm.
literally your job, to fix problems all day long as the leader. And so you can't do that with all the business knowledge and all that crap. That helps a little bit. That you deal with that through the grit and just
Mhm.
realizing every day it's a grind, and you gotta fix the problems and do it over and over and over. And if that was easy, everybody would fucking do it, but it's not. That's hard.
Mhm. Yeah, you have such a great kind of underdog story. You recently shared with our teams on a call about your dorm room attic the post with like your
Yeah.
bed and getting sick and how cold it was in there and really what you went through in your schooling and to get where you are now. I mean, incredible story and we've shared a lot with that even on other podcasts, but um you have that underdog story and are transforming lives that it's such a ripple effect. You couldn't even put a number on it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of lives, not only from our teams, but the people that are impacted because of the company. And so it makes sense that those people are somebody that you look to for inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Who do you listen to? Who do you follow? Or
Well, this I would say thank you to you for
oh,
because
geez, this is all getting mushy. It's getting mushy now. Look at that. Your
it's
tip is
not
in the
gonna
mail.
be you
Your tip
this
is in the mail.
time. But I would say it's because there's a fictional character that you introduced me to that I really like a lot,
Hmm.
and that's Wendy Rhodes from the show Billions.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I love her role in that show,
Hmm.
and that she really sits between these 2 titans. They're, both incredible men, very influential, very strong, but she holds her own and she's cool swimming with the sharks and she likes that world, that entrepreneurial space and she is driven from it. So everything her character embodies, I really like. Even her little crazy side. Like
Mhm.
I like her as a character. Because I see a lot of myself in that. I'm not a big fan of like influencers. Like influencer to me doesn't mean that you have influence. Like to me, if you have influence, that means that you can change people's minds, decisions, that you have some sense of, I'd say, power, but not in a highly egotistical kind of way. But that to me is like influential women. Those are the women that I'm more drawn to. And her character is one of those. And I find it interesting because, like, from the Genesis and Status Skin, it's you and Brent. And
Mhm.
then from Public Beauty, Ecomfolio, this mastermind group, it's Carl and Ross. So I'm in between these two worlds of really strong, powerful men that are kicking ass.
Mhm.
And it's like, how do I maintain this level of presence and confidence to continue to be of value to both parties and also recognize when to compliment like the situation and it's not a competition, but also inspire, like to inspire you if, that's my goal sometimes, and like sending some of these messages like I
Mhm.
see you, you're doing great, like keep kicking ass, that's the goal there. And so at times I'll send those messages when it comes up in my spirit and it's like, yeah, like that's and she does that with those guys. Like there's a scene where she's telling Axe, like, "How much money did you do?" And he tells her how much and it's a lot. And she's like, feel
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
like that's big.
Mhm.
And so she's getting him to see that what he's doing is big and powerful and making an impact. And it's like, that's her role. So I like her role for that just because I see a lot of myself in that and can pull inspirations from who she is and the presence that she holds. There's another woman, this is not a fictional character, but I always get her last name incorrect, but Angela, she was the CEO of Burberry. And she
Mm.
came into a struggling brand. The brand was not doing well. She came in and instead of strong arming and trying to like do it this way and be a dictator in that organization, she came in and she built relationships. And it was all about focusing on relationships and getting to know people, helping them feel valued, seen, heard, understood, and she totally revitalized that brand and they're doing great today. So her presence as a leader within that luxury brand turned the entire brand around. And so there's a role for women and women in leadership to have that presence and it's really really important and it's like it's not the same role as a man and it shouldn't be and there's different value women bring to the table. So those are the women that I tend to look to for women like that. Those are the women that I tend to look for my inspiration
Yeah.
from.
I didn't know that about Burberry. There's a the book Good to Great is a phenomenal book about what obviously made businesses go from good to great, grow massive amounts over the course of 20 years, I believe it was. And the businesses that grew the most were led by female CEOs
Mm.
in that book. Is like four out of the 20 something businesses that grew the most, the top four were led by female CEOs. So that's a huge part of that.
Well, yeah. Well, and I think it's female leadership concepts. I don't think it has to be a female, but I think it's embodying the balance between male and female aspects of leadership because they are different, which is what I spoke on this weekend at the mastermind. And I had more while the women stood up when they were asked what was the most impactful part of their day. A lot of the women stood up and said that it was my talk because I think the
That's
women
awesome.
the women felt heard. They're like, okay, there's a voice of a woman here, and I was on the panel earlier in the day and then spoke in the afternoon. And so the women, I think, had a sense of like, we're seen, we're represented, and they got something from that. But throughout the rest of the conference, I had one after another guy come up and tell me how important my talk was and how much they actually took out of it. And so while it was on female leadership and feminine leadership, it was also equally, if not even more impactful for the men that were listening. So yeah, I think men being able to see, like, one of the things I talk about is vulnerability
Mhm.
in it. And vulnerability feels like a bad word in business. Like, you don't want your business to be vulnerable.
Right.
That's not a good thing.
Mhm.
But being vulnerable as a human being in your business is valuable.
Yeah.
And a lot of the men were like, "Oh, I never thought of that."
Mhm.
So yeah, so that was good. And those types of women have helped inspire me to greater levels of leadership.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think vulnerability is a huge part. I think people take it wrong right now and think that vulnerability is like, oh, talking about how your life sucks and this is hard and that's hard. Yeah, it's always hard, but I think vulnerability is a lot of accountability. Like if you make a mistake, fucking
Mhm.
own up to it, say you made a mistake and then fix it as a team together. And that's I think one of the more male aspects of the vulnerability by definition that people forget where it's like, oh, being vulnerable is weakness. It's like, nah, it's just saying that, yeah, I fucked up. Now we got to fix this sort of thing, and
Yeah.
go in a different direction.
And sometimes being willing to admit you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but we're
Hmm.
going to test it out. We're going to see how it works. And this might be awesome or it might fail miserably, but along the way, we'll learn something and we'll all learn it together. And yeah, we'll figure out what to do next after that. It's like not thinking that you have to have all the answers all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I hope this helped you. If it did, please share it with somebody else who you think it could help. Leave a review, post it on your story. We will repost it. If you have any questions, email questions at dralexpinoso.com. Any final words, Amanda?
Well, I just think the big thing is when people want to connect with, building a business, you have the mastermind charismatics
Yeah.
and it's launching. I'm super excited to, hear more about what you guys are doing with that.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to get a lot of value out of what you and Vaughn are bringing.
Yeah, so we're Vaughn Kohler and I are launching a medical mastermind for people who own medically related cash, based businesses. Going to talk all about scaling, how we did it, how I did it, and help you work through your problems and create a community out there that's actually a really good community where everybody wants to win and we join together. Because I know there's a lot of communities out there that are just like, oh yeah, do this and you'll make $1 million, and they're full of shit. I mean,
Mhm.
they're selling some sort of program or some sort of something through their mastermind, and it doesn't work that well. Like this is just to get two people together. Again, this is not my job, the mastermind. It's a passion project. I don't need it. We don't need the money. Both Vaughn and I have actual jobs. But if you want to be a part of it or learn more about it, go to Join Charismatics. So that's like charisma, CHARISMEDX. So charismatics.com, and we'll see you there.